an odd angle. Okay. Now, I shared with you, it is upside down. I'm getting ready to switch it, Jamie. Thank you. I have shared with you this document as a Word document. So in order to draw on that document, you have to save as, then create it, and then save it as the new document and send it back to me. I do not have a working printer. I have a printer, but it doesn't have any ink in it, so I don't have a working one. Instead, I hand drew my sketches and submitted the image, which is what you have in your announcement, in your assignment. And that works great. That is just fine. Hello, Miss Huffman. It takes a while to get it right, and well, everybody is excited that you're here. So you have here where I wrote the questions here. It says, what object will you create? And I said, I will create a paintbrush, right? Then it says, what extra parts? Because I am making this paintbrush, and this is my sketch, and see, notice I did not color this or label my colors on this. That is new and unusual for me, but because you know in class I would take points off for that. But I just drew my design here. I also did it this way because if you received Model Magic from me, you only received one color. And if you buy your own Model Magic, you can get a box of it for like $5 or $6. But you can change the color. But if you got one, and you can mix colors and stuff. You can color the stamp, and I'm going to show you what I mean in just a minute. So I drew my design. You want for your stamp to have this cylinder piece here on it, because this is the piece that you would hold like your handle. Mine rolled away. So you can see it has to have that cylinder piece here so that you can hold it. It's also important because this is a cylinder, but you could also do a rectangular prism. And if you do a rectangular prism, then I could carve or put something on each side, and instead of having one stamp, suddenly I have 5 different stamps. And that's the example that I'm going to show you today, so that you can see what a standard one looks like. And then if you want to take it to another level and do more than one stamp, that's what I'm going to show you today. Notice the size in relationship to my hand. That's about how big your piece is going to be. You received 1 ounce from me. Some of the packets that you can buy are like a box of 5 half-ounce pieces, but it's really whatever material you have that will work. But my final is about this size, just to give you a frame of reference for size. I had a student in another class ask if instead of 1 large one, they could make 2 smaller ones. That's fine, but notice you'll still be using the same amount of clay. Yes, and James, it depends on how much stamps you want. Like if you wanted to do 1 large one or 2 small that are 2 different ones, that's fine too. But I think with the exception of 1 that I've received, every sketch that's been turned into me is just 1 stamp. Okay. Now, I drew my design here. I remember only had 1 color, but my final piece I added color to. And then I have my stamp. It's very important that you draw out your stamp first, because like it shows in the sketch, you have this is what you want, but then you have to draw it in reverse, because you have to make it in reverse on your on your stamp. Otherwise, it's going to be backwards. Remember, we've talked about this and I've shown you examples. And then I wrote that I did the yang style. The yin style is when we carve. The yang style is when we made it with coils and made it 3D. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about my sketch so far? And I see some. Good, James. I can't see everything that you shared, but does anybody have a question about your stamp sketch? can I have like a thumbs up, I'm good to go, or no in the chat, just to make sure we're all good. All right, good. Now, making your Model Magic itself is, making your stamp out of Model Magic is pretty simple to do. And no, if your piece is symmetrical, then it doesn't have to be in reverse. That is correct. So if it's something like I showed last class where I showed the heart, I showed the letter T, those are symmetrical so that you don't have to draw that in reverse. And I'm going to show you both of those, Jamie. That's a good question. Now, I pulled out this Model Magic. Model Magic does expire. It is air dry clay. And I wanted to show you this one because this is a bad pack. I can feel that it's a bad pack. So I have here, I have my work area ready to go. I am going to put down a fresh sheet of white paper. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because Model Magic, while it's air dry clay, it's like foam. So it will collect any debris, just like the clay that we use in class. Yes, I am recording. Yes, so that you'll see this. And there is a video already posted in the assignment of me making the paintbrush. So there's a video of this already posted. And now and then I'll post the video from today too. But I keep this work surface down, this paper down, because otherwise it's gonna stick. Everything is gonna stick to this. I make sure that my hands are clean. And when I open my packet, I tear it along the seam here and fold it open like this. Now, if you rip your container, it's okay. You can use aluminum foil with this, or you can just use the paper. But I like to work on the aluminum foil, especially if I'm doing multiple colors. When I'm recording, I am recording my hands. I am not recording anything that's on the screen. You don't see your face. You don't see any of that. You only see my hands. So you don't have to worry about that, okay? You know it's expired because there is an expiration date on it. Of course, now that I've said that, I can't. Here it is, right? It's on that very special code. Here, is it there or is it on the back? There is a date on it. But not only that, you can feel it. So do y'all see how this looks? Right? When I go to bend it, do you see what happens there? This Model Magic is expired or very, very close to it. Now, if you got a pack of this, I am very, very sorry. I didn't mean to do that. You cannot add water to this to kind of make it better. I have read, but I haven't tried it out. You're welcome to try it out. That you can add a little bit of Elmer's glue to it. Mix it up like we added water to our clay last year. Put it back in the foil or back in an airtight container like a Ziploc bag. Let it sit overnight, and then your Model Magic will be good, right? So I am going to try that out with this. When I tried it out earlier, it became slime. I must have used too much glue. And I'll show you, my example of that is actually on that table over there. I can pull that over in just a minute. This is good Model Magic. Do you see the difference in the bag? Just right away. So I'll open this up. Are there any questions about bad Model Magic? You can also go and pick up a new one if you need it. So if you can't find, thank you. If you can't find the date, Jamie, I think that all of the assignments, like sketches for this, the data chart sketches are due that October 12th. And then all of the final assignments are due that 19th. Oh. It's right here. See? Right here. So what I would do, just so you can tell, is feel it. And you'll be able to feel. Because look at this. This is good Model Magic. Look. See the difference? Okay? It's sticky. right? Okay. Does that help? I want to make sure that I'm getting that right in the feed. Okay. Forget about the date, Jamie, and focus on how it feels, all right? When I pull this out, and it has that moisture in it. Okay, good. It has that moisture in it. See how it's still stuck to here? Remember, this is why I have that clean work surface, because I can take my Model Magic and it will stick to itself. Now, with either a show of hands or tell me in the chat, who has ever worked with Model Magic before? You can just either raise your hand or you can say in the chat. Okay, so I'm getting just a few people that have, and it seems like it's like, yeah. So the same amount of people have that haven't. That's what I'm seeing by the responses I'm getting and the hand raising. So when you work, for those of you that haven't worked with Model Magic before, it does not smooth out perfectly. These wrinkles and everything that you see, they're always going to stay there. They're never going to go away. You have to take the clay and you have to make what you want first. And right away, the more you work with it, the more you get those wrinkles and creases, right? Ava, is your hand still raised from answering my question, or did you have a question? And if you do, okay. Right here, if you look, do you see how these creases and these coils are not smooth? You can still see where they were attached there. The clay that y'all were used to using last year, you could smooth those out. With the Model Magic, you can't. So just be prepared for that. Now, I'm going to take my Model Magic, and most people split it in half. And then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it to the side. But when I put it to the side, I'm going to wrap it up. Because it is air dry clay, you don't want it to start to dry out while you're working on the rest. You can put it in aluminum foil. You can put it in that Ziploc bag. It's your choice, but you do want to keep it covered. So the first thing I'm going to do is make that base, that handle part of your stamp here. And if you have a question, of course, let me know by putting it in the chat or taking yourself off mute. Most everybody's design that I have seen, unless you send me a different one today, has a cylinder base. And see the size there that I've used, that I've made? The thickness is about the thickness of the tip of my thumb. I only want for you to take it out and make it now if your sketch has been approved, Jamie. If you've sent it to me. Otherwise, wait. If you feel confident to do it, that's fine. Oh yeah, you have to do the sketch first. You have to do the sketch first, right? Yes. Yes, you were supposed to do your sketch first. Yes, but that's okay. It's not late yet. So notice that that's about the thickness of the tip of my thumb, or like a quarter size. And we want for it to be that size because you're going to have to add your stamp onto it. So I've made this, and I want for you to see this wrinkle here? If I go to try to smooth it out, it doesn't really smooth out. Like, that's the best that you can get, okay? I want to make sure I haven't missed anybody. All right. So for the cylinder, that's what you would do. You would take it and you would make out like that thick coil, for that cylinder form. I am going to do a rectangular prism so that I can have multiple stamps on the side. I can have more than one stamp. And see how I've made that flat? By just lightly tapping. And back to the sketches, yes. Remember, I thought that I said that at the beginning of class today and the end of class last time, but I must not have made it clear. So you want to do your sketch first, because if you don't do your sketch first, you're not going to know what to make out of the clay, because it tells you what extra parts. Well, I know that I have to save enough clay for the top, for the bristles, for this slab part to wrap around here, and the coils around here, and then of course my stamp. So that's why I split the clay out. And also, submitting your sketch first allows me to see it and then make comments or suggestions about, you should make this with a coil, you should make this with a slab. And there's an assignment for it, and it's called Personal Stamp Sketch. That's what the title of it is. It should be in your calendar. If for some reason that link is not working, please let me know. All right. So I have lightly made this so it's a rectangular. Don't slam it, but just lightly. Yes, and if you're going to use regular clay or Play-Doh, you're going to do the exact same thing. It's the exact same techniques. The only thing that might change is at the end, you have to seal it with like glue or Mod Podge or something. So are there questions about this step so far? Okay, everybody's good? Thumbs up or yes? Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to add my pieces. So for this piece right here, my daughters asked for me to make a stamp for them. So I am going to take, and they want, in my ideas, they want 3 hearts. So I am pulling apart 3 separate pieces of clay, and I still have this left to the side because remember, I have to have some for the bottom of my stamp. So I'm going to take these, and now I'm going to make the top design. So that's what you would do. You would make your cylinder here. Yes, I have 3 daughters. So I'm going to make 3 pieces here. Each of them want a heart. Yeah. So I'm going to have 3 pieces here. Right? And this is going to be the top. So this is what you would do after you get your cylinder done. You would do this, make the cylinder, and then you're going to make your top and your details. So in the video that's already posted, I made my cylinder here. Then I made the teardrop form for my bristles. Then I made this, and then the coils. So I started off with the largest, and then the overall form, and then I added those details, okay? So for my heart, just like we used with the other clay in class, I make my sphere, and then oh, that's awful, Jamie. Then I come and I start to pinch that around the tip. If you have a question of how to make something specific, please ask me, because this is where I would help you with that. So I'm going to make this. If you were going to make an animal head, you would make this form here. You would have the nose so that it sticks out here. Okay. And then if you're going to have a mouth, remember, for those of you that have had me before, this is not what we do, right? You make those 3-dimensional. Okay. The best clay tool you have is your hands. You don't have anything better than that. I have here to help me a pencil or a Q-tip, but I can do this whole thing with my hands, right? So then I can pinch this in here and I'll start to get that 3-dimensional heart form. If you were going to add, say, a face to this, I would add my eyes there. I would add my ears there, but I would add those details after I get the overall form done. Now, does anybody have... So, I prefer that you not make eyes by just putting the imprints on the head, because this is clay. This is 3-dimensional. So, I will put a face on this heart so you can see what I mean. Right? Oh, can y'all hear that? So, that is my very large dog. And he has, first, I'm trying not to say his name because it'll get him more excited. He has gotten very interested in items in my daughter's Barbie doll house, and so he's been eating the Barbie doll shoes. So he's kind of in time out right now. Right. If that's what you could hear. So I'm using a toothpick here. You could also use a pencil or a ballpoint pen. And I think this is what y'all were saying about the eyes, where you just do the dots like that. I would prefer that you not do that. Once you make those in, then you can take and add them three-dimensional into those sockets. There are multiple multiple things going on, multiple questions. I just want to make sure I'm getting everybody's. Yes, if you have your own Model Magic, you can add more. And Bryce, what do you mean about with our hands? Are you talking about how I said your best tools you have are your hands? Or did you mean something else? I don't want to miss something. You can take yourself off mute. Yes, good question. Yes, you can use your fingers to make the eye sockets. Yes, that will work. Okay. And then like this, I have just this very, very simple smiley face that's been made three-dimensional. That's better than carving it in, right? What do you mean without eyes? Can your person have no eyes? That's fine. Your person can have no eyes. I think I lost a message somewhere along the way. So, very good question, and exactly what I was getting ready to say. This clay, the Model Magic, sticks to itself. You do not have to score and slip any of this. That's the other reason why I make sure that I keep my stuff in the aluminum foil or on a plain sheet, because it sticks to itself. And once, like this and this, if these are two different objects, if I go to stick them together and then I try to pull them apart, look what happens. It doesn't pull apart very well, because when you feel it, it's kind of sticky. It's kind of like foam. So for my piece, right, I can take and I can put a heart here, and that's going to stick. I can put a heart here, and that's going to stick. And look what happens when I try to pull it off. See? It'll come off, but it really, it's really hard to do that, right? You do not have to make a person. You can make whatever object you wanted. If Jamie doesn't mind, I'll use him. I'm pretty sure that Jamie's going to make a tree. And he might surprise me and do something completely different, but that is fine. It does not have to be a person. If I had to guess, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying it, Kate will probably make a bat. And that is completely fine. It is something that represents you. I did and now I just got Kate's message that said a bat. So I made a paintbrush because I am an art teacher. All right. Lily, you're a hard call. My first thought was panda or dog. But I don't know. Like, your past couple pieces that you've made have had dogs in them. So maybe a dog. Right? So now I have these pieces here. A llama. Yeah, I can see you making a llama. And now I'm ready to add my stamp. So you can come and put your stamp here on the bottom. If you're doing an animal that has like 4 legs, you can add it onto the top here. Or you could have this be the body of your animal, and you can add the head here so that it looks three-dimensional. But you can't make it stand. That wouldn't work as well. All right. So Malik, if you're going to use the chat, that is great. But let's make sure that it is about what we're talking about. Okay. Now, for my stamp for this, I'm going to do a heart stamp. Because it is symmetrical, I know it's going to look the same on both sides. Now, this is a part where you would use either a lead pencil or a regular pencil. I don't know what everybody has access to. A ballpoint pen. Or what I like, which is a toothpick. You could also use a paper clip if you have that. Anything that is anything that is going to be like a sharp point and come in. And no, it's okay if you don't have a figure on the stamp, but it would mean that your other designs and everything around it would have to be intricate. That's the reason why yes, that's what you do, Leah. That's the reason why I need to see your sketch. So I'm going to come in, and with Model Magic, it tears. So if you go, I hope y'all can see that. If you go and you try to draw it straight in, can you see how that starts to rip and tear? So for me, well, I'm using my paper clip, and I'm also doing this upside down. Yes, that works great, James, sorry. And I'm just poking a series of holes, kind of like stippling, in a line like that. If I go to just draw it, it will tear and rip, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to come here, and this is my yin style. The yin style is when you carve into it. So I have this here, and I've added that. Now, if I wanted, I could leave it like this, or I could make the whole thing a solid heart by pressing into it like this. And that's going to make it more solid. This is the one that I did last class, right, with my initials. And I have for you, I covered it up with a piece of paper, my apologies. These are the stamps that it made. After it's dry, which is overnight, I put Sharpie on the base of this. So I would take it and I colored Sharpie. You have to do this one quickly if this is what you do. And then I press it. Right? That's with Sharpie. With an ink pad, I just took it and I dipped it into my ink pad and pressed. With watercolor, this is one layer of watercolor that I painted on the bottom and stamped, and then I stamped it again without reapplying the watercolor. You can also use acrylic paint or paint markers, but if you do something like that, then you have to do it quickly. So on mine, I have my hearts here. I have my heart stamp. This is my stamp that I have here on the bottom. And this is done in yin because I've carved into it. And this is my stamp part. If I want to do another part of the stamp, so let's say I do one back here on the back, and this one I'm going to do in yang, I add it to the top. So I can take my Model Magic, I can roll out a coil here, and I can put a coil. Yes, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be making your own stamp of a heart here, right? And now I have a heart stamp on that side, okay? And that one's made with a coil. On this side, if I wanted to continue with the theme of hearts, I could take, and instead of making a coil, I can do a slab. Remember, the coils are like the rope-like pieces. Most of y'all have had this with me before. There are only a few that haven't. And I could make my slab and have my heart shape that's more flat. And again, stick that on. And this one, because I have the clay, I'm going to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm going to make another one. No, it doesn't have to be that detailed. You know, mine is the letter J with C and D in it for my initials. Your stamp symbol that you make is yours. So this is me. Remember I said that this is my basic stamp. I have my stamp itself, and then I have the piece on the bottom. But for this example, remember I said I was going to go like above and beyond. I think you should, Kate. I think a bat stamp is perfect for you. So this stamp right here, I'm going to have 3 hearts. So now my single stamp that I've made has 3 options. I have 3 hearts that have been made out of slab. This is a yang because it's projected, it comes up. This is a yin because I carved it in. And then this is a yang because it's a coil, of course, that I've put on. So my single stamp that I have here has 3 different options. Now, when you do this on your own, let's say you made a mistake right here. Let's say you made that mistake. This doesn't really erase. But notice I have this extra clay right here. Remember how I had you divide it out? I come here, I pinch out a new slab, and then I cover it, and look, voila, I have a whole new working space there. And now I'll use a pencil because I bet most of you have a pencil. Remember, it's still like those really close dots together. I don't want to try to just draw it because it will rip. Okay, so that's an option if you make that mistake. Okay. Now, details. I have a couple questions about adding color, and I'm going to share those and just answer those in just a minute. Up to this point, are there any questions? Thumbs up if you're good. No. In the chat, I just want to make sure we're still all here. Yes, you're going to use Model Magic because, one, it's foam-like shape. It's very lightweight. You can draw and carve into it easily. It's forgiving. It's also inexpensive. So I was able to supply enough for all of my 8th grade students for like $100. Okay. And you can get it from anywhere. You can find it at grocery stores, drug stores, Walmart, Target, Michael's, and you can find it in so many different colors. Also, it's air dry, so it doesn't require you to bake it or anything. I would take this and let it dry overnight on the next morning. So listen to the difference. Hear that? Now. Right? Dry, not dry. And also, if this breaks off, if something breaks off, all you have to do is use Elmer's glue and glue it right back on. It's very forgiving. It's very easy to work with, and it's inexpensive. Okay. So here, I would let this dry overnight, and I'll do a video of me adding color to it tomorrow. And then I can take Sharpies, which is what I used here. You can use watercolor, you can use acrylic paint, tempera paint, a regular Crayola marker will color on top of it. You can use a regular Crayola marker to stamp it even. If you take it, I hope this marker is good. See? It's just a regular Crayola marker. To add color onto this, color pencils don't work because it will carve and rip into it, but any of those other materials you can add color and details to it. Like if you wanted to do all those designs that I believe it was Roman that mentioned, then Roman, you could draw those in with a fine line Sharpie after it's dry, or with paint, or whatever it is you can do. All right. The Crazy Art brand is great. That's fine. It doesn't have to be this exact brand. This is just what I provided, but any type of clay will work with this. The trick is to make sure that it dries. If you try to add color to this, and I will show you, if I try to add color, man, it might look like it's doing well now, but the water and the moisture with the clay absorb that pigment. And tomorrow morning when this is dry, this will no longer be purple. It will be another color. It will be a much lighter color than what I've put on here. Right? The other thing, and this is the last thing, notice how these pieces stick out here on the side. See how they stick out from there? That's why I didn't put a stamp on this side or this side. Because if I did, I wouldn't be able to print it unless I took my paper to like the edge and did it so it would overlap like that. That's why I did it on the front and the back, because those pieces, see how they're lined up? One doesn't stick out more than the other. So that's why I did that. Didn't put it on the side. Now, have I answered everybody's question? I just want to make sure that I've covered everything, because I know that y'all were doing the absolute best that you can. Doing virtual art, y'all are troopers. You're superstars. I really, really appreciate it. But I wanted to keep as close to my curriculum as I could. And this is what we would be doing in my class. You can do Mod Podge after you paint it, as long as you've painted it with acrylic paint. If you put Mod Podge on tempera, then it might smear it. But yes, you can do that. It will seal that up. Yeah. My dog's name is Marshall. Mod Podge is like a sealer. I think I have a bottle right here. Yep. This is Mod Podge. The joy of doing art class in my studio. I have everything. This is Mod Podge. It's a sealer. It's water-based. It doesn't yellow your clay, but it'll seal everything up, make it shiny. The sketch is due, and Madison, thank you for asking that. I saw that question earlier and I meant to come back to it. It's due at 2 different dates for my classes. For this class, I can't remember if it's October 5th or October 12th, but October 12th would be the latest that your sketch needs to be turned into me, because I have to have your sketch first before you do your clay. The 5th. Thank you, Bryce. I can't look it up while I'm on my devices. Everything will freeze. So it's due October 5th. And happy early birthday, Lily. Any other questions? Because we're like 2 minutes over, and I like to always get y'all right on time.